Okay, so here we've got hatching with parallel lines, one set of parallels running, cross hatching where we have multiple sets, and just blended. And I tried to represent all three of these with a gradient from the corner. Now when we're shading our projects, what I'd like to see you guys do is kind of start off with hatching, doing these straight lines, and once they're there, using your blender, not to get rid of the lines and entirely blend it out, but rather just fill the space between the hatch lines and end up really leaving some visible hatching. Alternatively, you could soft blend first and add the hatching on top of that. And this is where the spacing between the lines is one of your options to create light. So if these are more spread out, we get a lighter value. Even without darkening the lines, we can get a darker value just by increasing the density and showing less space between. And we talked about contour shading, where we're taking the direction of the line to show the form. So following the form with the direction of the lines is something we really want to see, whether it's creating the shadow or not. And again, when we do our blending, don't get rid of your line work. Leave those hatch lines showing to some degree. And with the cross hatching, where right now we have sets that are not overlapping, if we want to increase our shadow, we can go in there with another set, still contouring the form, going around the sphere or whatever it may be, but now crossing at another angle, building that shadow in. And again, we want a mix of blending, but still showing that line work. So if it ends up looking too soft, we can go back in, build more structure. And this is where, if you're doing hatching in the light area, you probably want one of the lighter pencils, like an H, so you can still do very purposeful lines, intentional lines, clear structure, but keeping it in the right value range. Whereas in the darkest shadow, we might be hatching with these B pencils, getting some really dark values in there. Okay? So the mix of our hatch work, cross hatching, soft blending, playing with the density of the lines, how close they are together to get darkness, as well as how many layers of hatching, how many different angles are overlapping. So, like, fundamentally, we could space the lines to get the light, or we could have equal spacing and different amounts of overlap, like 2 layers, 3 layers, and still filling the in-between space to some degree for soft blending. The problem, if we soft blend everything, it just looks like cloudy, foggy, and we lose that sense of structure. So we balance the hatching lines to still show structure, like planar structure. If it's straight edge objects, we'll probably use more straight lines for the hatching. And now I'll crosshatch to create a darker section up here. And then I'll fill these white gaps because those are creating a lot of contrast that doesn't really belong there. But I'm not gonna blend so far that everything disappears. I still want my line work to show. So not over blending, kind of a light touch with the blender. And be careful with the blenders. When you get them out, they might have so much on them that they're gonna make a really dark line.